Hello.
Hello, this is me trying to do a cool pose
Be
here.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. It works. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
it
good,
works.
good. I'm just making sure.
I was about to say Happy Tuesday, and then I was like, it's not Tuesday. It is a Wednesday, but it's a Makeup Tuesday. So
It's a Makeup Tuesday.
Yeah.
As is stated in our Eldritch Pact that we made. If we do not stream on Tuesdays, then we have to move it to Wednesdays.
Yes. Well, I figured I'd do a little bit of a recap.
Okay.
Just in case anybody is new that's going to join, I can always bring this back down to kind of remind people where we started with this, because today we're going to get into ZBrush, but last week we got into creating our new Paladin character, or should we say Paladin, right? So we came up with our little warlord with his little mount, his cute corgi mount. So we have a lot of fun ideas today that we're going to get into. So I gathered some reference. This is what we did last week, was this drawing. I never got to color it because I went on vacation, so I didn't have time. But yeah, just grabbed a couple of references of different things that I liked. I think this one is heavily influenced. This cool Mongolian type looking armor. A lot of fun. Along with some corgis because they're adorable. I mean, look at that. It's so cute. So
you can't go wrong with that pictures of corgis.
You can't. Now the big question, I guess, will be whether I can get both characters blocked in today. I'm not really sure yet. We're gonna see how far we get. I definitely want to get them blocked in, but one might just be a little farther than the other.
Okay.
I could probably block out the corgi fairly quickly, but we're gonna get into it.
Yeah, as you're getting into that, again, for the people that may be tuning in here, this is Archetype. Normally we're here on Tuesdays, like Ashley said, but today we're here on a Wednesday. And if you are new, then the word Ashley doesn't mean anything to you because you've never been here before. So I'm Chris. I'm with Gnomon, and right over here, oh gosh darn it, right over here, there it is. That's Ashley Stegon.
That way.
And Ashley Stegon is the brains and the maneuvers, skills behind this whole stream. I'm here to talk to y'all and work together to make something really fun and magical. As Ashley has already stated, last week we went into some awesome detailing and concepting and figuring out pretty much everything that had to do with this dwarf Paladin, as it were, and it's all done, and now we're in the sculpting. But the fun doesn't stop there. Oh no, it doesn't stop there. Because I thought that it'd be kind of fun that while you're sculpting, maybe we can actually make it into a real character too. So that way, if anybody wants to play this character, it's all done. I mean, how amazing will it be to go play D&D with your friends and be like, I'm going to be a paladin that's a paladin. Not only that, here's my character design. And here's what it looks like in 3D.
Right. That would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. I think everybody has some rough form, 2D art form of their character that they have in a D&D campaign. But not a lot of people have it in 3D. So that's what we're here for you. Have you been looking for a character to play in D&D? So I think that catches us up. Do it every week. So. You're here every week. Right now we're working on the Paladin, sculpting it out. And
yeah, so I'm sticking with really blocky shapes right now.
So when you say blocking it out, for those at home that might not understand that, what is that? Also, this guy right here.
Yeah, so blocking it out is basically, you can think of it as if you're used to 2D sketching, it's kind of like that underdrawing, it's just setting up your primitives and setting up your cylinders and spheres and whatnot. And it doesn't get all that much more complicated in 3D, it's just that now instead of, drawing a circle for the head, you put a sphere for the head, and it becomes something that you kind of have to manage in all 3 views, right? Or all 3 axes instead of just your typical piece of paper, which is just flat. So you just have to make sure that, if I'm going for a square look, I'm going to make sure that character feels square throughout the entire piece, whether it's looking at it from the front or from the side, or whatever that may mean. So it's really just think of it as a block out of just like when you're sketching of those primary important shapes.
Last week you were talking about shapes. You were like shape. So does that help you transition from there to here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, knowing that, when we did our drawing, we came up with his shape going to be kind of like roundish and like kind of squared off. So we'll do a softer. He's not going to be super hard edge square because we want him to feel kind of. He's riding a corgi. He should feel kind of friendly. But yeah, so we're going with this idea of very blocky. Because he's also, kind of like a dwarf, so he's a little shorter and stockier as well. So all those shapes that we talked about last week are going to play into, how this character will look in 3D. And that's basically my guide. It's very helpful to do that stuff in the beginning, right? Because I'm not just kind of winging it now. Now I have a plan and I have an idea and a character that I can go ahead and start fleshing out without, getting too stuck on anything too soon. Because I have so much of it already figured out in the drawing before I even jump into 3D.
Yeah, I mean it's already forming pretty good. Hello, Francis. Hello, Logan. So we have some people in the chat saying hello. Good to see Francis. I think Francis is our new acquisition from last week, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
New acquisition. That's how I say.
I'm glad that he was able to find the stream on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday. So sorry about that.
Hanging out on a Wednesday. I think it's fun. I like Wednesdays. And thank you for commenting the hair. Yeah, this is what I get for trying to do something with my hair. It's very curly, as you can see. It only goes to one side, so I just do it.
You can pull it off. I don't know if I'll be able to pull off that haircut.
Oh, see, now
I look like I'm from Cyberpunk.
Hey, that's kind of cool. Did you ever see Edge Runners?
You know what? I have yet to watch it, and I keep meaning to, but there's too much One Piece to watch right now, man. So I'll get to it though. I will get to it.
I am gonna.
I think that was on our list at one point. So.
Yeah, I think you have convinced me to start getting into One Piece, but I think I'm gonna read it because I think watching it is so time consuming. I think I'm just gonna read it so I can really breeze through a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Adam Doing Tech says, Ashley, how are you? And a new guy here. Hello.
New guy. Hi, new guy.
I think
Oh, you're the new guy.
Yeah,
okay.
I think
I thought he was the new guy.
No, Adam Doing Tech. I don't know. Ooh, Adam
That
Doing
sounds
Tech.
that sounds pretty familiar. I think he's been.
Yeah.
But I'm doing good. Again, no complaints when sculpting.
No complaints when sculpting?
No complaints when sculpting. Nope.
Is it a rule?
No, I just I have nothing to complain about. I'm just sitting here having a good time, so
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel like if I were to okay, I guess first and foremost, there's no frustration smash button, is there? Because I feel like if from sculpting in real life, if I got frustrated, I would just be like squish the whole thing, call it a day. I mean, if there wasn't a wireframe inside.
You could control shift escape it, I guess,
Alt F4 fixes
Alt
everything.
F4 fixes all the things,
Let's see. I'm the guy who got the Huon based on your recommendation.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do not remember me.
I'm sorry. There's so many names. But I'm glad that you took my recommendation. I do remember giving you that recommendation.
Huon?
Yeah, Huey on tablet. It's what I have. That's what I'm sculpting
nice.
on right now. I had to get away from Wacom, unfortunately. No, I don't think I actually need delts for this one. I usually
Hello,
draw.
Sir Saito. As a hello, good night. Are you doing the hero now? Yeah. Sculpting in a 3. I'm not doing anything. Actually, Ashley's doing, oh, son of a gun. Here it is. Ashley's doing all the work over there on that side. On this side, there's nothing. But Ashley, if you watch over here, they are doing all the work right now. I luckily just get to spectate and watch it all for them, because as we just determined, if I got too frustrated with sculpting, I would turn it into a pancake. So all my heroes, when I 3D
you can take it and squish
look
it
like pancakes. Yeah, there you go.
Like,
oh
man.
no, what am I doing to this stream? Also for One Piece, if you need guidance, I'm your guy. You have 19 days till Gear 5. Yeah, I read the article about that, and I see a lot of pictures of Gear 5. I have no idea.
No spoilers. No talking about it.
No spoilers.
Can't
yeah,
say
no
anything.
spoilers. Hello, Shireen's, Hain, Cyan. Good to see you. And Francis, able to learn how to draw a skull and do a nice representation of Nito from Dark Souls. That's awesome. And what are we sculpting? Well, we went into it a little bit before, but we can come back right now. So last week, Francis, when you tuned in at the end, Ashley had fully fleshed out this dwarven paladin that rides on a corgi. Warlord, roundish, squarish dude.
Yep.
That's super flippin' awesome. And so now, Ashley is sculpting that same dude that was riding the corgi into battle, and that's kind of where we are. That's where we're sculpting. So Ashley's sculpting the amazing D&D paladin, and then I'm going to, on the back end, as we're going through, spec out this paladin, and we're going to give him a bunch of awesome stuff and cool things that he so then if anybody ever wants to play this Paladin, as Ashley came up with, actually we got off the stream, and me and our ninja mod were talking, and as the ninja mod and I were talking, Ashley like literally had like a light bulb go off and just was like, Paladin. And then left the call,
Yep.
and then went on vacation, and then we never heard from her again until yesterday.
Yep.
So it is Paladin, which is very exciting. Let's see. By the way, I've started my first class with Gnomon. I'm doing intro to mine now, and camera mapping or matching is making me question my life decisions.
Yep. Camera matching is always going to be good old Max making you do the hard work. You'll learn a lot from doing it, and you'll understand a lot about what it means to be in, like, to do something in the 3D space. Because you can make something closer to the camera larger, or I mean smaller, and it'll still fit that camera plane, or you can move it away and make it bigger, and it'll also fit. So trying to come up with your 3D space based on just an image is a great challenge, and it's a really good introduction to understanding 3D. Max is awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I might be biased. I think all the teachers at Gnomon are awesome.
That is true.
Do you know any teachers at Gnomon?
I would be a teacher.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so we do have a question specifically for you.
Right.
Sorry to not specify Ashley, but since you are the only one reading the comments now, because I'm not here, and I saw you doing great interviews in Gnomon in the past, what type of art do you do? I guess concept art? They kind of said that. They were like, I guess concept art? They didn't do the shrug emoji, but I'm assuming Saito, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, so I actually, for my job, I'm a 3D character artist, so what you see me doing now is what I pretty much do professionally, is doing mainly sculpting characters in ZBrush and getting them game ready. So I work in the game industry. I used to work in film, but my main job has always been character artist, which usually has some sort of connection to 3D art, whereas concept artist is usually more 2D stuff, or it's using 3D, but producing a 2D image, whereas my job is creating a 3D asset at the end of the day.
Well, there you go.
So that's
that question. But you do 2D art.
I do.
As well.
Yeah, I have done concept 2D art in the past as well. It's just not something that I usually get as a full-time gig. It's something that I've done in the past here and there. But yeah, I do it a lot on my free time. I love doing stylized 2D drawings and things like that. So that's why on the stream here we do a lot of 3D stylized work, because my normal job is more realistic stuff. So I like to break away from that and make something that feels a bit more stylized. Otherwise, I get
to hang out with y'all too.
Exactly.
And then I think now's as good a time as any. If you're interested in seeing even more work of Ashley's, you can go ahead and check out their Instagram right here. God dang it, over here. It's coming over here. Hang on. I'm gonna get this point right.
You'll get it one of these days. We'll get it right.
Yeah, somewhere. The Instagram's it'll pop up over there. Okay, so we have some other coming through. So let's see. Ooh, yo, the chat is popping. I really appreciate it. Y'all are doing great. So
I'm so glad I don't have to read and sculpt this anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So the new guy, I'm sorry, I do not remember your name, but I've seen you interview the artists from Riot Games, and you were talking about anime as well. Yeah, I tend to do that a lot. My name is Chris. I'm actually the social media manager here at Gnomon. I'm just here because Ashley and we kind of had a good repertoire at Lightbox. If you get a chance, you can check their live sculpt at Lightbox on our Instagram. It should still be up there. And it was so much fun that we kind of just decided that, it'd be great to sit down and do it again, but in a different way. And so this is when we get to like really talk to y'all, the chat, which is really the fun part, because I think last week we were trying to figure out what to do. We came up with the idea of a corgi. And then we were like, well, what if somebody was riding a corgi, but they were like a super grizzly dude? And then Ashley was like, it was magic, y'all. You should have seen it. If you know what minor illusion is in Dungeons and Dragons, it was exactly like that. Like it was that fast. So it was amazing. So now I'm here, just hanging out for a little bit. But I appreciate that you watched the Riot stream and liked it, and we will continue to talk about anime on the stream. So hang out. With that being said, do you think Gnomon would have a program like the certificate or similar go fully online? I wouldn't be able to tell you. But if you do have any questions about Gnomon, feel free to email us at info@gnomon.edu. And I'm sure somebody will be willing to help you and figure that out. Number 2, pencils are hard ones, right? I believe the pencils, I only remember like HB, 2B, 6B, 4B, 2A.
H meaning hard, meaning it'll draw lighter, whereas B, I always say is bold. B stands for bold, even though it doesn't. So it'll draw harder. So the like a 5B will be a really, really dark pencil, and then a 5H will be a really, really light pencil. If that was an actual question. There you go.
I mean, it was a question. I'm just breezing through these questions, y'all. I mean, we're here to hang out with y'all and watch Ashley sculpt. So this is actually really fun. I'm having a great time. I've been having a good time doing these streams, so this is great. Bloody beginner to ZBrush, not just a beginner, a bloody beginner.
Beginner, yeah.
Yeah, bloody beginner. But could you explain how to reactivate parts of my sculpt mesh, or how you group them? I don't know what any of that means. So
sure. So I'm assuming he means selecting and whatnot, but the way I block out characters is not unique, but it's maybe a little weirder than what some people do. So this is in a mode called Dynamesh, where I can, on the fly, kind of choose the resolution of the amount of polygons that I'm dealing with, and I like that for blocking in characters, because it makes it a lot easier to manipulate if they're less resolution. So that's what I like to do to start with, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm in Dynamesh, but I also turn on this thing called groups. So what that does is all these little lovely colors here, they're all separate parts, as you can see, and I can select them separately and move them separately. But they're all on one, what's called subtool, which you can think of it as just like, it could be a collection of objects or one object. But I like sculpting this way because I can sculpt on top of all of it at once, but I still have control of each individual part. So that's kind of how I like to block out characters, to get something easy and simple to work with from the get-go, and then I can kind of work my way into like more and more detailed stuff as we go.
That was awesome. Sir Blacksoul, I hope that answered your question. We're going through. We got a lot of questions today, Ash. I mean, we came in here. We're 24 minutes in, and this chat is popping. Once again, I appreciate y'all. This is my
Wednesdays are better.
this is my prayer emoji in the chat. Like, I appreciate y'all. I guess it's really fun. It's fun when we get to interact with y'all. You know. Okay, are you also streaming on YouTube? Yes, we are also streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I promise one of these days we're going to get our bumpers set up where when we join on live, we're not just going to be like, hey, what's up? And just hanging out. And we'll actually try to be a full-fledged thing, but, you know, we'll get there.
We're a work in progress. Go easy.
Yeah. No, not yet. I think that will be next week. Right now, we are focusing on blocking and camera match. Okay, this is talking again about the class with Max.
Max, nice.
Shreans, I'm using it, but sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, now they're talking with each other. And then here we're back. Ashley, are you planning on giving classes at some point online with Gnomon? I will be the first to sign up.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. That would be up to Gnomon. I think it'd be really fun to do one.
Yeah, another info question.
Yeah, that would be if you want it, go tell them, and then they'll try to make it happen. I think it'd be really fun to actually teach like a stylized anatomy or an animal anatomy course. I don't know if you guys would want an intro with ZBrush. That's what I teach at the school, but I've always wanted to teach something a bit more in depth than just the program. At least for me, because I think it's really fun to go over character design and anatomy and talk about shape language and all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like if shape language was an actual language, you'd have a PhD in it because you're pretty solid. That
I did graduate Gnomon, so I guess you could say I have some sort of fluence in shape language.
Jesus Velasco, hello guys, catching the stream not too late this time. Yes, welcome back. As you can see. I guess up here in this area, I'm gonna figure out all my camera placement. We got this awesome sculpt happening of the Paladin, who I think our working name was Yobduk. But you know, if you have a great name for this Paladin, please let us know because we're still working on it. You know, while Ashley has done a lot of the work, it's still up to us to carry a lot of the rest of it through. Right, so that's what we're here for: moral support and story support. Let's see. I love stylized. That's a project I'm doing. I'm not sure if it's Sir Saito or Senior Saito, but now question for you: reading the comments. Yes, me, Chris. What type of art do you do? Well, not a lot. I do photography. I really enjoy photography. And the only stuff I draw is for my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. They're really terrible drawings. If, you know, I don't know, if we get enough pen emojis in the chat, then sure, I'll show you one of my terrible drawings. But, you know, that's we need a lot of pen emojis. So that's the kind of art that I do, if you want to call it that. I enjoy it. I'm the only one in my D&D group of my friends that actually draws. So a lot of times when they make a character, they'll ask me to draw it, but you know, it's all whatever.
I think that's awesome.
I enjoy it.
I know it's hard to always compare, especially because we're on a stream with an artist that's technically like a professional or whatever, but even if you've never drawn or you feel like you're not great at drawing, I still think like having that practice though and doing it is so healthy and great for people in general. Even if you're not great at it, it's still really fun to do and super engaging, and you can, I don't know, it's the way you can express yourself, I feel like, with those things that is usually so helpful. Yeah. So never be discouraged by feeling like, oh, maybe I can't draw as well as whatever. You're the only person that can draw in
You,
your D&D group,
as you.
right? So, yeah. Well, I constantly look at other people, as well, and go, gosh, I wish I could draw that good, or paint that well, or whatever it is. We're all like that,
Yeah, for sure. What is it? Imposter syndrome is what they call it.
I like Gnomon
okay.
you'd always feel that way.
Yeah.
You always feel like a student, which is a good thing. That's actually a really healthy thing. Always feeling like a student isn't a bad thing.
You can keep learning.
Keep on learning.
Okay, so awesome. Thank you. Anime is awesome. And yes, sir, Zach Mendoza. That guy deserves a raise. You already know the email. Gotta let him know. What type of anime do you like? Also, if anyone in the chat wants to talk about it too, I'll be happy to talk about it. So I guess we could start with that one and work our way through. I actually have, let me go this way. I have this set of 4 anime tattoos, and then I have a very large one on my chest right here. And the 4 on my arm are this animation company called Studio Trigger. So they did Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which Ashley and I were talking about earlier, as well as some other animes you may or may not be familiar with. I love all their stuff. And then on my chest is a spaceship from the TV show called Cowboy Bebop, which I'm a huge fan of. So those... Say again?
So that's a pretty cool one.
Oh, I love Bebop. I can go on and on about
Bebop's
it.
classic. You know what I watched last night that I've never seen was Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, really? What'd you think?
Yeah. Dude, it was so fun. It's so wild. I feel like 80s anime was a whole other level in like ballpark of creativity and weirdness, and I love it. I was enjoying all of that. It was super fun.
Some of it, I grew up on a lot of that anime because when I was younger, my grandmother, who, again, if you're new to the stream, I'm a quarter Japanese. I'm also a quarter Syrian, so I talk a lot about being Middle Eastern and Japanese all the time. But when I was younger, my grandmother used to take me to a movie theater that was in a spot in Los Angeles called Little Tokyo. And at that movie theater, they would play 3 random anime episodes back to back. So you never knew what you were getting. So I remember one time I watched the first episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, I'm about to spoil something, so I'm really sorry. The second thing that they showed was the episode in Dragon Ball Z where Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 for the first time in the Majin Buu fight, which like blew my mind, and it was really messed up. And then there was a Detective Conan episode, and I remember going to school the next day or the following week and telling all my friends, like, dude, there's this Super Saiyan, it's like the 3rd iteration, his hair is super long and it's yellow, and he fights this pink dude, and all my friends were like, dude, you're lying, like, you're a liar. Yeah, that doesn't happen, It's not Yeah. So in that same era, the Sci-Fi Channel at 6 a.m. used to play any anime movie they could get their hands on. And a lot of them were these 90s anime movies that had like a lot of gore and outrageous stuff. So there's
Ninja Scroll.
Like Ninja Scroll, this one called Demon City Shinjuku. There was also one called Project Aiko, which was really interesting. So really, really great stuff. So yeah, but what about you? Animes for you? I go on a freaking rant. So what about you?
You're asking the chat, or you're asking me?
I'm asking you, and I'm reading the chat because.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I mentioned One Piece. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan too. I have a whole shelf of Dragon Ball stuff. I love Sword of the Stranger as well. Studio Bones is one of my favorite, so I really enjoyed that. And it's a more recent one. It's not like an older one. Cowboy Bebop is a classic. Evangelion, the first iteration, is fine. And let's see what else. I'm reading Demon Slayer. Blade of the Immortal is probably one of my favorites. I don't know. Most people probably haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I never even heard of it.
It's so good. It's what's his name? Hiraki Samura, who he has like the most insane, awesome pencil drawings ever.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
So it's a long series, but you should definitely check it out. I think it's on There is a show, but I recommend just reading it. It's so good.
Okay.
So that's one of my favorite ones. Anything by Junji Ito is really good.
Ooh, Junji Ito.
Love some creepiness.
Yeah,
They were trying to make Uzumaki, but I actually haven't heard anything about the production of that yet. I thought it was supposed to come out like last year or something, and then
Yeah, a lot of Junji Ito animes aren't like. It's not the same. It's not the same. There was this one that was like a collection of like all the Junji Ito stories. They just don't look as terrifying.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm working on getting through all your comments. Thank you all so much. I appreciate your patience with us. Let's see. YouTube is more populated than Twitch. Shake my head. Hey, we're here for you. Francis, only animes I've seen are Pokemon and Dragon Ball. The old.
Pokemon's great.
Yeah, but I love Pokemon. YouTube not giving Chris a chance to read Twitch comments. Hey, I'm here for you, Francis. I'm working on it. I prioritized you. All right. So let's see, learning the fundamentals, and I really should start practicing more photography to better my composition and lighting skills. Ashley, did you ever use any kind of photography to kind of sharpen up your craft a little bit?
Yeah, photography is really helpful for that. I was going to mention that when you said that you take photos, because I feel like that's actually a really underrated skill for 3D artists or just artists in general, is understanding like light and exposures and camera lenses and all sorts of stuff like that is always going to help you with your craft and getting better with all your art. So yeah, 100% I would utilize all that.
Utilizing
I wish it's hard because there's so much that I want to do and there's so little time. So I haven't taken photos in a while, but I usually just end up drawing now. But I do definitely say it doesn't hurt to kind of explore everything, explore all the options of mediums, because you'll never know what you'll find that you like.
Yeah, for
or
sure.
Something that helps you click with something, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Fundamentals. Trigger is awesome. They really are the best at action scenes. I agree. I really recommend seeing the new Trigon series made by Studio Orange, one of the best 3D studios ever seen. Hot take. Trigon's alright. Trigon's alright. It's alright. I don't. So many people are like so in love with it,
Yeah.
And they're just like fascist stampede till I die. I'm not that guy. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't explain why it's okay to me, but it is okay. I'll go study now and do the matching. Go hear you guys in the background. Thanks, Adam, doing tech. We'll miss you. We'll be here when you come back. A lot of people compare Blade the Immortal story and art with Berserk and Vagabond.
Yeah.
Okay, so Berserk, that really puts it into a frame for me then, which is
it's
really
it's really
good. Really good. In fact, let's cancel the stream right now. We'll just go. We'll go read. We'll start a little book club.
Yeah. Go check out
Awesome.
Mondi and his adventures.
So you were saying earlier you weren't sure if you were going to be able to block out the whole thing.
Yes.
Now, at this point right now, in this blocking out, you're looking pretty good.
We're getting there. I mean, I'm running, so to speak. Like I'm trying to get it out there, and I think mainly because I want to see the corgi with the character and see, like how big does he need to be, and I want to get like a size. He needs to be a little probably smaller, right? But it's just nice to get an idea of, if he was to go on the back of him, like, does that feel about right as a size? And this is all stuff to do while it's in the early stages, right? Is to kind of plot this stuff out and figure out if it's working or not. This is the moment where you can make changes, because I haven't spent a lot of time on anything. I'm just trying to get these like rounded shapes. I also want them to feel like they're in the same world, right? So making sure that his shapes kind of are aligned with our character and vice versa. So we could do kind of like maybe rounded square shapes. so I could kind of round out his butt a little bit, but it's more of a rounded shape. And same thing with like his nose, we can make it maybe slightly more square, but keep it tapered, but we can kind of square it off and gotta add a nose here.
Must add nose. See, I mean, there's just so much really good content here because there has to be like a bonus action boot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You touch the dog nose, boom. Now you get a +4 on any of your attack rolls. Right? Like there has to be something where you're like all the standard stuff that you normally do with a dog. You just now get bonuses for that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It just has to happen. Let's see. Ooh, this is the doggo she did last time. Yeah, Francis. So right when you left last time, I think Ashley was illustrating the.
Yeah, I can show it to everybody
writing.
now that everyone's in stream. So this is the reference that we have. So this is what we did last week, right? Was we drew the corgi and our character.
You,
right.
Not me. I didn't.
I say we because collective stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I gathered some more references to kind of like what I'm trying to achieve. I looked up some cool reference of the saddle. I really love these like ropes and stuff that are hanging off of it, so we can kind of take inspiration. It doesn't have to be as detailed, but we can take inspiration from certain things. And so we're taking this now and blocking that character out into 3D. So that's always on my second stream that I have up here as reference.
And so usually how long does the average sculpt take? And thank you for the question, Leon. And thank you for joining the stream.
Really always depends on...
I guess on average at work, like let's say you have some... Okay.
Yeah, it always depends on complexity. So sometimes I'll work on things for, an average of maybe 2 weeks, and that's an 8-hour day. And then sometimes it's months. It just really depends on how complex or how important it is to get right, so it really does just depend on the subject matter. For the stream, I always sculpt a lot faster than I probably normally do for work because it's more of a time crunch. So a lot of it's about like the priority of what I'm working on, because the most important thing with like the industry stuff that people don't realize is knowing what you can achieve in the time frame in which you can achieve it. Because if I gave you an eternity to sculpt something, you would probably come out with something pretty good, right? But it's all about being able to perform that sculpt or create that thing that within the time frame given, right? So if I have 2 weeks, or we sculpt a character a month, so it's like, okay, I have a month to make something. What can I make, and how can I make it? And how can I be efficient in making that thing? That's the professional side of me. That comes with time and learning these things. So it's always hard for me to give an estimate of like how long something takes, because it can take you as long as you want.
Right.
But it's about like what you can achieve in the time that you're allowed to achieve it. And then that will prioritize, different things in the sculpt. So I hope that makes sense, and it's not a great answer, but 2 to 3 weeks is usually like a pretty good one. You can see me sculpt. I mean, it's weird because I take a month to sculpt characters on the stream, but when you think about it, I'm really only working on it 2 hours every week. So really that's actually an 8-hour day. So what you see on the stream with my characters is something, if I was, if we did like an 8-hour stream, you would see something similar to that finish. So just think about, 3 weeks and what you can accomplish within that same time frame.
Yeah, so a little bit of a flex. Ashley's so good. You only need 8 hours.
Yeah, I only need 8 hours. Just for the stream.
Just for the stream. A little bit with photography, but I should use more, especially because I want to get the lighting and composition knowledge of someone like Alberto Mielgo.
Yeah, Alberto Mielgo. Yeah, he's awesome. I love that artist. He does everything, though. He does cinematography, and he does drawing and 2D animation, and he's big into animation. Everything he does is for
Ooh.
animation. He works
Oh.
on robots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All the shorts are really great too. He did Windshield Wiper, I think 2 years ago now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Leon, no problem. That's what we're here for, dude. We're here to answer questions and hang out. And I guess today it's talk about anime. And I mean, more importantly, talk about this, not only the awesome art that's on the screen, but the art that inspires us and influences us, like Saito has been alluding to during the stream as well. Really, wait, did this person work on Arcane as well?
Alberto? I don't think so. He did Love, Death, and Robots, and he did Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. And then you said the Windshield Wiper.
To that, yeah. I think he only worked on the first one though. I don't think he came back for the second.
Okay, so let's get back to facts here, people. Working on a Paladin, all right? Now we know that it's a dwarf now. So here's the scoop. Ashley and I do have a little bit of a beef going on because they only play Pathfinder. I play 5e, you know, but we made it work. We decided we were going to join forces and do this stream anyways. But we're going to, you know, build a little bit of this character out in 5e and talk about it. And hopefully that'll help us build a little bit of the story too, which you can also participate in, right? I think, Ashley, how important would you say having some kind of story or narrative, even if it's just like imaginary in your brain as you're designing a character, how important would you say that is?
I think it's like one of the number one things because if you're there's a quote from a guy who wrote a screenplay book, and I'm always forgetting his name. I think it's Sid Reed or something like that. I always forget. Anyway, his the quote in the book that I always like is character is action and action is story. So without a story, your character can't act, and without action or your character doing something, your character isn't anything at all. It's so much. Your character is not just about like what it looks like, but what does he do? A big question that a lot of people don't ask when they're designing characters is, you know, if I'm creating a, you know, dragon hunter or whatever, you go, okay, what is he? He's a dragon hunter. Okay, but how is he? How does he do that? How is he a dragon hunter? What does he do to do that thing and achieve that thing? So it's really about asking yourself like the simple questions of what's your character, who he is, how does he do it? That will really sell that believability that you're looking for in your character designs. Because we want you to, it's because we are visual artists, we're visual storytellers, so we're trying to tell a story visually. So much of it is about, you know, if I want to portray this character's kind of goofy or silly, well, we have him riding a corgi for one thing, but you know, we could make it look very menacing, or we can make him look a bit sillier. It's all in a matter of how we choose the shapes that we're portraying, and you know, his expression versus like maybe what does he wear, and things like that. So story is the number one thing, and even if no one ever knows about it, that's okay. It's really just for you to ground yourself into something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think always starting with some sort of idea. He's got such a peanut body at the moment. Mute.
Body focus, yes, some kind of story. I think it's good. I think it's helpful, and it's fun. I think that's probably the most important thing, right? It keeps it fun.
Yeah. Well, you just got to constantly be asking yourself questions about, you know, how do they live? Where do they live? Why are they the way they are? You know, and you can ask yourself simple questions like, would this character do X, Y, and Z? And you can just answer yes or no, and that should be able to get your mind going about who they are as a character.
And that's what we're working on today too. Let's see. Okay, so let's take a look. So this Paladin's riding a corgi. Corgis are herding dogs. We know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're a type of herding dog. Herds, would you have them more in the hill or would you have them more on the mountains? Like hilly areas maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like sheep herders and stuff, they could be kind of more in
Yeah,
the
that's what I'm
hills.
thinking. Okay, so hill dwarf it is. Hill dwarfs have dark vision. Dark vision, I think, is one of the most underrated things of any class to have, or any species to have. It'd be one of the most helpful things. But I don't think dogs have dark vision that much.
I think they have low light vision. I don't know what the stats are on that. They probably have scent as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you can tell with this corgi right here with that amazing nose right there. Oh, here's another question came in. One thing I have for myself when designing a character is when a boss asks questions for someone in a job interview. Okay, and let's try and work this question out here, Saito. One thing I have for myself when designing a character is when a boss asks questions for someone in a job interview.
Okay. Does he mean, are you wondering about how to answer questions in a job interview about designing characters, or is it about taking feedback from, said person?
Well, why don't we turn this into two questions while we wait for clarification. So we can start off the top, which is designing a question when a boss asks for someone in a job interview. So let's say that you're in a job interview and they're reviewing your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they're asking questions, I guess in this situation, is there common questions that they ask when they're looking at your work, like how long does this take, or do you work in a certain situation, or they don't focus on your portfolio too much?
Portfolio is super important. I think one thing that they try to get a vibe of when you're interviewing is will you fit? Because if they're interviewing you, they probably think that your portfolio is good enough. It's just a matter of, do you think you'll fit into the culture and the studio. So they'll be asking also questions about just like how you like to work or your personality, and just try to get a sense of, are you easy to work with? You seem passionate about stuff. Are you going to engage in fun or interesting ways? So, and they'll ask you technical questions about like, oh, how did you achieve this said thing in your portfolio or whatnot. But usually your portfolio, because it's visual, kind of speaks for itself most of the time, right? Mm-hmm. So they'll ask you about like how you achieve things, but it's really more about getting a vibe on, are you going to be a good fit for the studio? More than anything.
Yeah, because it's a team. You're all working in a team, right?
Right.
You vibe with the crew.
Yeah, so making sure that you kind of understand what your goals are and what the studio wants to achieve and things like that go a long way in an interview. I mean, being personable is really important. Knowing how to communicate with your team members is really important. A lot of people in this industry tend to be a bit more introverted. That tend to be. It's not always the case, but they do tend to be a bit more introverted most of the time. So, try to break out of your shell a bit with stuff like that, because it does help with the job a lot, being able to be a good communicator. Because at the end of the day, we're not making something on our own. We're making something in a team. You need to be able to communicate with that team well.
Need to be able to team it up.
Team it up.
That's the technical term, by the way. That's what we're here at Gnomon to do. We're teaching you technical terms, like team it up.
Yes.
Do you feel that you were very the transition into being extroverted was already easy for you? Do you feel that you were already a little bit, pretty solid at communication and extroverted, or did you have to learn some of those skills?
I'm pretty social butterfly. There's
Okay.
not usually people that I won't say hi to and talk to. I think it's just really important to kind of, while you're at school, make friends, make connections. When professionals come up, like you guys being active and talking in the chat, there's a professional talking to you that will answer questions, Take advantage of that and make the most of it. If you're here just for the vibes and hanging out, that's fine. But if you are someone who wants to ask questions, but you're like nervous to, I don't think you should be nervous to, because almost everybody in this industry that I've met, when I go up and ask questions to professionals, are so willing to talk to you. They're so passionate about what they do, and they just want to spread that knowledge into the next generation of artists. So I think it's important to not put professionals on like a pedestal to where you're afraid to talk to them and to seek out answers that you're looking for. So
yes. So seek professionals, talk to them, just like being in the stream, talking to a professional, like you just said.
Yeah, 100%. It goes a long way.
And you could also talk to me, but I don't know how much help I could give you aside from the sticker of the day. Of course, that's the help that I can give you. Today's sticker was actually given to me by an employee here at Gnomon. It is, if you've ever seen Hello Kitty. Oh, hang on. It's going to focus. Focus. There it goes.
Oh, that's adorable.
It's Karomi with a gun. I don't know why it's so funny. I just think it's so funny. So that's today's sticker of the day. I figured the reason why I picked it was because, QC things that are also lethal. That's kind of where we're at right now.
That is where we're at. It is exactly your character. Cool.
I mean,
so I think I got it. I think I was body blocked in now. I think I'm finally happy with the shape. I shortened the legs and I kind of simplified everything. Gave him a bit more of a squarish, squared him off a little bit, maybe a little bit thicker. But other than that, I think he's okay now. Those legs were kind of bothering me for a while. So, and again, you just got to kind of noodle away at stuff until you find something that you're like, ooh, there it is, and then once you find it, you can kind of.
What was bothering you about the legs?
They just felt. I can go back. So if I go back, one, they're a little too long, and like if you look at the silhouette, so the black right corner or left corner, you can see how I simplified all those lumps and shapes into something simpler. You can see the top half I liked because it's kind of like one shape, and then the outer part of his arm is one just long big shape. So I wanted to kind of try to capture that again in his legs, so you can see how I kind of adjusted all that to fit the silhouette. Because we're going a little bit more stylized than even I normally do. We're being pretty simplified, just because I think it'll be a lot of fun. So very, very cartoony kind of feeling with these characters.
I mean, I like stylized. It's I like how you say stuff like, "Oh yeah, simple. This 3D sculpt that will only take me a total of 8 hours to fully complete and make look totally awesome." Like, yeah, totally simple. I like that. Well said, Ashley. That's what I love about this platform. Be able to interact with professionals all around the world, willing to share and help, says Jesus Velasco.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we say Jesus? Is it Jesus? Did I just put that together? Is that your name? That would be crazy if it literally took me 7 days, well, 8 days, because we're streaming on a Wednesday, to put 2 and 2 together, that the way that you cleverly placed the letter in front of the rest of your name means that it's Jesus, because that's literally what it looks like. Oh my gosh, I'm such a buffoon. If it's not, then I apologize. But if it is, very clever, and I'm so sorry it took me so long.
I think his ears stick out more. It's more fun.
So with all of this, even in stylized, is it like freeform, or you're kind of like, well, you know, I do, because you told me before, like you have to understand anatomy before you can really exaggerate, right?
Yeah.
But in this right here, the exaggeration, once you start the exaggeration, there's not necessarily like a threshold for it, right? So what's the feeling that you're going with here? Or how's it work?
It's always a tough one because I feel like, you know, I mean, all the anatomy choices that I'll make are very much based in real life forms. It's just about pushing those forms into a world that we're not used to seeing them in, or pushing those shapes a little more than we're used to, and things like that. It's a very fine balance because if you don't push it far enough, then you just get somewhere that looks kind of like you don't know what you're doing. Whereas if you push it the right amount, then it feels stylized. So there's a very fine balance between what can look cool or what can look wrong. And so a lot of it is it's important to study those anatomy forms and know, you know, for example, what I just did with his face, right, was I took, you can see here, his face is a little bit more of a normal proportion, so his eyes are kind of like midway between the top of his skull and the bottom of his jaw, but I decided to push it up more. So I'm pushing it up more, and I'm giving him a bigger jaw to make room for like that big beard and stuff. And I think it, like, the more you can push that and exaggerate, like I can push it up probably even more and kind of give him like a really flat brow. That's when you'll start getting more of a stylized character coming out of it, and not just kind of like this halfway point between real and stylized. So it's all about pushing it the right amount, which I know it just takes practice, and also takes a lot of studying other artists to see how they do that thing. You know, how do they achieve that, and
how did they push it the right amount?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, Wookie's here. What's up, Wookie? Good to see you. Thanks for joining in the stream on a Tuesday, nonetheless.
It's a Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday, nonetheless.
See, we're not remembering already.
We're so lost, Wookie. We're actually lost, but now that you're here, we're found. So we appreciate you coming through. And Ashley, I did it. I've achieved success in the stream. I can actually log off now because I got it right. It is Jesus. It's not Jesus, which I thought it was for so long. Were you just watching me struggle? Did you already know that? We're just kind of like, oh, like we'll just let Chris fumble his way through that. Jesus Velasco.
I was just make this all one shape.
So what you're doing right now, it's really interesting because it's like you're darkening it, but then you can like 3D pull it or something.
Yeah, so this is using a mask, so I can mask it, and then I can do a thing called an extraction. So then I can extract that mask to get geometry. So I'm blocking out where his hair would be, and it's just going to be easier for me to make it probably all one shape because he's such a simple character. So now I can extract it, and I'll pull it out a little more than that.
How's it going, Paradox Moose? And what's going on, Sam Peterson Art? Hey, yo, coming in for that sweet D&D art content. We appreciate you, Sam Peterson. Check it out. I know I've been saying this a lot, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it again. For all you that are new, that are here, that are watching, we appreciate you watching. This character, what you're seeing on screen right now, is actually a collaboration between the people in the chat and Ashley, who is to my, God dang it, it's that way. I'm gonna figure it. I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it right one of these days. Ashley, who is to this direction. Last week there was a lot of discussion back and forth about kind of like weapons and style and different shapes and what we were gonna do and all of this stuff. And so after that has happened, after that concept has achieved its maximum form, I guess you could say. If this was the Cell saga, this is the first episode was Cell just appearing, right? And now Ashley's eating the androids. So that's kind of what she's working on over the next 3 weeks to get to her perfect form. And so while they're doing that and working on the sculpt, we as a collective, so me and the chat as well, we get to work on more fun stuff with the story of the character, figuring out the name of the character, which is really fun. Ashley came up with the class, which is a Paladin, right? Get it? Paw, right? Pretty good. We figured that the corgi is like a spiritual yokai kind of corgi, so it's a Shinipami. We had a lot of great puns going on. It's a very punny stream.
Man, you wouldn't be hanging out with me if it wasn't a punny stream, so.
So, again, thank you all again for joining, but it's not over. So, what we really need is we need a name for pretty much both of them. So, if you have any great names for what a paladin that rides on a giant corgi mount would be, it's a dwarf. I think we determined it's a hill dwarf because corgis are herding dogs. So if you have any solid names for a paladin that would be doing that, that'd be great. And then also fantastic names for the corgi. Now, I'd like to say that the best name would be Ein, because Ein is probably one of the best corgis that I'm familiar with. But I don't know that many corgis from popular from pop culture. I don't think there are that many.
There's not that many. So we're breaking ground.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. So if anybody's watching the stream, I guess the next move would be to get a producer from like Netflix or something in here. So then we can just sell this very loose idea. The pitch would only take us about 2 minutes, so it works out great.
Yep. That's an elevator pitch for you.
That's an elevator pitch for you. All right. So now when you're working, so right now you're working top down. Do you always work top down, or are you just kind of like right now, this is kind of where you're feeling it?
No, I like to block out the character's face before doing anything else, because the character's face is obviously probably the most important part of your character.
Okay.
So it's important to kind of find those shapes, you know. So I'm trying to find those tapered, squarish shapes that are kind of rounding off, because we have our squarish rounded corgi as well. So I'm just trying to find where that character is and who he is, shape wise, before I dive into, you know, any other part of the character. So that way I get kind of like a language going that I can then utilize throughout the rest of the character. So
yeah.
Once I have that, I won't probably go any farther with his, you know, skin block out. I'll probably just keep it like this, and then I can now start blocking out just like his clothing and doing all that stuff. Because we probably won't. There's not really much skin showing on this character.
Now, when you're gonna get to the like armor pieces and stuff like that, are you gonna do it similar to the way that you did the hair? Or are you going to like build it completely separately and then attach it?
I kind of go back and forth. I feel like sometimes it's easier just to extract shapes and then remesh it to get something soft. And then I'll duplicate that around to move that around. So you'll kind of see me do that. Especially when you're trying to capture the same amount of shape language. It's really important because, you know, there's going to be like a lot of rounded armor edges. So I'm going to take that rounded armor edge and I'm just going to use it for a bunch of different shapes. But I'll start with the underclothing. So I'll start by giving him like a shirt first and some pants, and then we can kind of build on top of that. So I'll hide the corgi for now because we'll probably need that.
Okay, rad. So while you're doing that, Molly's the name of Stephen King's corgi, and Holly was the name of Queen Elizabeth's corgi. Okay, Ink Girl, I appreciate you. You're helping out right now. See, so now you could follow that, right? You could do Polly, you could do Jolly, It's looking pretty good, very close to the concept. That's what Wookiee said.
Oh, thank you.
Wookiee approves. Because that's really what we're here for. Without Wookiee, what are we? Now, going back to that Molly, Holly, what other rhymes like Polly? But Polly sounds like a bird, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be some good ones. Dolly, Polly. Oh, Charlie. 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 That's not bad. Check this options from Bard. Oh, thank you. If we were wondering if AI was in the chat, we got AI in the chat. Long dog, wiggle butt. That's pretty good.
Wigglebutt's pretty cute.
Yeah, Wigglebutt's pretty cute. Taco cheesy tofu, Darth Bark, Sir Reginald von Wigglebottom, Einstein.
That's pretty
and
good.
Parker. Yeah. See, but probably it would be Reginald von Wigglebutt would be pretty good. But you also got to put the Holly in there. Charlie with a Boston accent. Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah.
The only Boston accent thing I know how to say is car keys. The car keys in the car pack, right? That's it. That's my Boston accent. So I can't do Charlie. And that was probably really terrible. I apologize to everyone for that terrible reenactment of the Boston accent. We're working through it. We're trying.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Thanks to AI. Hey, Jesus, it helped out. Once again, I know I've been saying this a lot, but you are all here for Archetype. Archetype, normally it's on Tuesdays between 4 and 6. Today is Wednesday, and so we're here on a special day doing exactly what you see right now. So normally Archetype, the way that it works is at the beginning of the month, there's some really fun idea that Ashley comes up with kind of as a basis. We then talk to you, chat, and you all participate in helping us figure out kind of where we're going to go and what's going to happen. That's why we're stuck with this dwarven paladin that rides a, not technically a kaiju, but a corgi mount, which is awesome. And as you all are participating right now, you're very familiar because you're putting in all these really great names in here too, which actually I should probably start making a list. And eventually what we'll be doing, because I've been kind of procrastinating through the stream, is we'll turn this into an actual D&D character. So if you want to play Dungeons & Dragons with your friends and you don't want to have to go through and make a whole character and do the whole thing and get, you know, really expensive art made and all that stuff, Ashley's doing all this work for you. So you can literally just go and be like, I am this paladin. This is what I look like. This is me in 3D, and then make all your friends jealous.
That's the goal. We're here to make friends jealous. That's
what we're here for.
I'm just making clothes now.
Okay. So now we're going to turn this name list into an actual list, and we're going to keep working through it. So now, so what are the intricacies of what you're doing right now? Because you blocked it out, but now you're like cutting the pieces into certain sections. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm cutting it up so that way I can basically grab different sections of it to make. I'm gonna make a shell for the t-shirt, so it's like this. So I like leaving holes in the t-shirt because it does this thing called Z-remeshing easier when you do it this way. So when I Z-remesh it to basically get like a really low res, it'll be nicer to me. Which is what I want it to be. Yeah, so I'll get something more along the lines of that, and then I actually have one last thing.
Okay, nice. All right, so here we go. Diving it off. Long dog is. So it definitely is going to be a combination of some of these names, y'all. It really does have to be. And then remember, we also need a name for the dwarf. The only thing that we have right now is Yobdug, and Yobdug is just good boy backwards. That's all it is. I thought of it because I thought it was hilarious that the dwarf would be the good boy and not the actual good boy, which is the dog.
Which is the dog.
Yeah, which is the dog, because obviously, right? But you know, if you have any better suggestions, which I'm sure you do, feel free to leave them in the chat, because as Ashley is working on this shirt, she needs some pretty serious focus because I don't even know what she's doing and I'm already lost. But, oh, it does look like a shirt. Oh yeah, it's like super over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was your intention and you're not as surprised as I am, but it is, yeah, for real. It's like a real shirt.
There you go. My smooth button broke there, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then we'll make some pants.
See? No one can ever say that you don't give back. Look at you clothing people. How's it going, Shad? Okay. I also want to apologize ahead of time if I don't pronounce anybody's name right. I'm trying my best. But what's going on, Sajid Lakmal? That's what I'm going with. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Archetype on a Wednesday. Special Archetype. Special Archetype. Right now we are watching Ashley be amazing and I think put on clothes on our Dwarven Paladin.
That is correct.
If I'm not mistaken. And while that is happening, the chat is participating in naming not only the giant corgi mount that our Dwarven Paladin is going to ride, but also naming the Dwarven Paladin. So we're dressing, we're naming, we're watching, and we're hanging out. We're hanging out in the stream and we're having a pretty good time. I'm having a good time. You know?
Me too.
Yeah, me too. And I'm gonna put the Molly and the Holly in here. The Polly Pocket, yeah, Dolly, Polly, Charlie. That Charlie really got me. It was really solid. Okay. And I think we're looking pretty good so far. I think we're looking pretty good.
Yep. He's got pants.
He's got pants.
Not pants.
For all of those people that were tuning in, waiting for the dwarf to get pants, it has
happened. It's happened. There it is.
It's happened.
We got it.
Shirt and pants. The question is, so what would a giant corgi herd? What do corgis normally herd?
I don't know what they were bred for. I thought they were bred to just be cute and fluffy. So
The Pembroke.
this will be news to me.
Are corgis herding dogs? So we're learning so much. Yeah, they herd cattle, sheep, and other animals since 800 AD.
Oh, wow.
It probably it has to be because they're so low, so the ankle biting's got to be like real premium, you know?
That's true. I never thought of them being ankle biters, but they are.
Yeah, and then they're so low to the ground too that probably if they get kicked, they'll just roll, right? So it won't be so big of an issue.
Right.
It also matters how stockily they're built, because I have a dog that is a German Shepherd, Australian Cattle Dog Border Collie mix, and when he was 5.5 months old, my wife was petting him, and he got so excited he lifted his head. When he lifted his head, it bashed her on her front lip, and it looked like somebody gave her a shiner right in her mouth.
Oof.
And that's when we found out that herding dogs have to have thicker skulls just in case cattle kick them in the head.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so that is very painful. So if anyone ever wants to think of like, oh, I'm gonna kiss this herding dog on the head, maybe not, just for your own safety, because they might just get excited. He didn't do it on purpose. I don't think he knows how to headbutt people. I hope not, but that's.
Did you teach him that secretly and you just not telling anybody?
Yeah, he's part of the MMA. He's just doing it at night time. If you could choose an actor to portray your character, who would it be? Oh, Saito coming in with a heated question. So are you talking about portraying this specific Paladin, this Dwarven Paladin? Ooh. First thing that comes to mind is Ron Perlman, but I don't think he fits.
I think it'd be funny if it was like someone that looked like the mountain, but it needs to be smaller than the mountain, because that's what I.
Smaller than the mountain. can't be Jack Black. Because that's too, even the shape is a little, I mean, it's not as Kung Fu Panda-y, but,
Yeah, it's a little Kung Fu Panda-y. I mean, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. Oops.
Ooh, Folly for the Corgi name. Okay, Ink Girl, show your work. Why do we think Folly? Folly's just that is a cute name.
What happened to him? He got all flat.
You did the thing. You did the thing.
Did I do the thing? What did I do? No. Jeez. That made me want to save. So scary.
So as a little PSA for everyone, save your work.
Save your work.
Say really? No. Lack of good sense. Maybe the Corgi gets into trouble. See, Ink Girl, first time coming in, already coming in with the heaters. I really, okay, real quick, I just want to appreciate y'all for a second. I really do appreciate y'all coming in here, hanging out and participating with us nerds, Ashley and I can just geek out.
Yep.
But the fact that y'all are in here really kind of interacting, it really makes it really fun for us.
Yes.
So that is great. That aside, the question, Ink Girl, and I think that this is kind of where the whole stream begins, right? Is if the Corgi gets into trouble, how does a Corgi get into trouble? Now keep in mind, this is a huge Corgi, right? This Corgi is massive. It's probably like 3 body sizes of this dwarf. It's a huge Corgi it's kind of like the size of a horse. So what could a giant, digging holes as a giant Corgi actually would be really funny.
Well, do you like that idea?
Yeah, because those aren't normal holes.
Those would not be normal holes. It's like digging trenches.
Like in the middle of the road, and like wagons are like broken on the side. So he is constantly, fixing people's wagons. Maybe our dwarf is really good at fixing wagons. This is all we're doing. We're just having a fun time. And it's interesting because it's kind of D&D character building, but backwards, right? Because we got like the image and everything coming in, and a little bit light of the story. But having it build out like this is always really fun. I would think most of the cliche thing that just hiding between an object person way smaller than the Corgi.
Oh yeah, the Corgi hides behind him. But everyone can see the Corgi. Because he's so big.
The Corgi hides behind the dwarf at all times, just like constantly cowering. That would be awesome. Okay, here I'm gonna put in we'll put in Corgi traits. Nice little fun things. Cowers behind Yo Duke. That's all we got right now. When worried, afraid. Now you had a reference photo that a Corgi had a tail. I didn't know that Corgis had like actual longer tails.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I have no idea. I didn't think that they were docked as puppies. It'd be kind of sad if that was the case, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a normal thing. I know for terriers it's pretty normal. For anything so that way, like cattle don't step on their tails and things like that. Like that's pretty standard.
Oh jeez.
But I don't know. I did have one of the. He has a tail, and it's very cute. But I don't know how. If they come that way, or if it's just a different breed, or.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of interesting information on it. Yeah, so they're definitely docked 100%. But apparently, probably because it's longer than the body. So apparently it's an AKC standard. So here we're going to learn about some corgis for a second. It's an AKC standard, so the American Kennel Club deemed it because they had always had their tails docked because it was a liability for them herding.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why it's a liability versus other herding dogs is because proportionate to their body, it's no good. So like if it got like stepped on or anything like that, it's more likely for that to happen, and they would actually get hurt in the long run.
Yeah, see, I remember docking is something that, it had a purpose a long time ago. But if you have your, just a normal animal, it's probably not. I mean, I personally don't usually dock animals' tails unless it's for those purposes. But
yeah, unless you're like docking a Doberman's ears, I don't get it. And they look better. In all honesty, they look so flipping cute.
Oh, I know, they're floppy ears.
Gotta have floppy ears. I mean, it's almost what's the point of even having ears if they don't flop or stip straight up or have the asymmetrical ear. That's always good to do.
Yeah, that's what my dog has. I'm making a little shoulder pauldron right now, by the way.
Oh yes, the shoulder pauldron.
Yes.
Also, I think one of my favorite details of this Paladin is the eyebrows, the matching eyebrows of the corgi and the dwarf. Top tier, so good.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, so of course.
Well, that's the thing is you want them to feel like they're together in the same world that they share. Something like I don't imagine this dwarf going anywhere without his loyal companion.
Oh, for sure. It's a loyal companion that like gets into trouble.
Yeah, I say little companion, but
yeah,
not so little.
I mean, there has to be something like randomly going to cabins and pulling out a log from the cabin like it's a fetch stick, like it's that big and getting into that kind of trouble and just like dismantling some of this person's cabin all by accident, just because it's literally a puppy. But wait. Oh, hey, okay. The trial has happened. All right, so our one of our regulars has tuned into the YouTube, and I'm going to try and remember how to say the name. Now, we determined this last week.
Isn't it Caicedo?
Oh, Caicedo?
Right, Caicedo?
Oh, Caicedo.
It's like California. Okay. That's what I remember.
Yep, nice. Yeah, that's right. See, that's why Ashley's here, everybody. I mean, to that and literally to keep the stream alive and happening. But
yes, that's it.
Yeah, because y'all don't want to see me sculpt. I promise. I promise you that. Hey guys, a little late, but what's up? Well, I'm sorry, I just talked about you for like 5 minutes and didn't even say what's up to you. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. And which name you decided for the corgi? Well, it's still up in the air. I mean, we got quite a list of names for the corgi right now. So if you have any Caicedo, please put it in. And Wookiee's here too. Yeah, we got the whole gang right now on a Wednesday, y'all, coming through. We appreciate it.
Always appreciated.
So right now, Ashley's working on the dwarf part of the dwarfen paladin. And as you can see, she's making some serious progress. And right now she's masking. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, nailed it. And through that, I mean, we got some awesome stuff coming through.
Yeah, so I'm just
now the layers,
blocking out all the layers of his armor.
Mm-hmm. Now the layers of even stuff like that you don't see, for instance, right? So like, I know that there's probably a really simple answer, and this is kind of a dumb question, but what would be the purpose of even sculpting out the body if you could just do the armor and all that stuff without having to sculpt the body?
I need some sort of base to start with. If you start trying to sculpt just like this one piece, then you don't have a shape to go off of, and it makes it really difficult to ground yourself on anything. But now that I have like a body shape, I can make sure that his armor pieces are going to fit on top properly of that shape. So it makes the process of making these items fit all together a lot easier.
Okay. Yeah.
Later on, I can get rid of molding into the shape, so it feels more realistic to what you would be trying to achieve with a character wearing a lot of armor or wearing a lot of stuff. So it just kind of grounds your realism of your character, even though you're doing something stylized. You still want him to feel like he can move, and we're basing this armor off of something that can function. So that's what's going to give it that believability and readability. I'm just going in and shaping pieces, and I'm just ZBrushing it to get it to be a little bit more reusable. The lower res you can get something, meaning just less polygons, the easier it is to manipulate and move it around. So this is kind of my workflow. And if people have been in the stream before, you guys have probably all seen me do this kind of work. It's really just about blocking in all those shapes. So I'm blocking in the front and the back of the armor, and then I can create little belt pieces and stuff on the side later to get these pieces to kind of fit a certain way. And if later on, if I'm like, oh, I want to taper this in because I want him to be wearing like a sash or whatever, I can slowly do that and start, moving these pieces in a little bit and finding like where my character's body is and making adjustments. But I feel like it's always better to work from the inside out first than it is to start from, the exterior or something. So
yeah. Now another question I have. I'm asking you a million questions.
All good.
But before we hop into this, y'all partying in the chat. Appreciate you. Low poly is wet clay, Leon says. Leon, for is that what it feels like? Does low poly feel like wet? I mean, obviously.
Yeah. It has the same. It's the same idea that you're using, something like wet clay to. It's very malleable and formable to whatever it is that you want to do. So it's just easier to work with when you're doing something like this.
So
and using that kind of thing.
My other question was going to be, once you're done with kind of like the overall body sculpt, do you save all of those just like, not generic, right? Because you made it by hand, but like, do you like take that body sculpt and like stash it away somewhere just in case like you want it again or you want to use it for something, or you just kind of keep it all in this one file?
I keep it all in one file, but if I remember, I remember most of the stuff that I make. So, if I make this character and then later on down the line, I'm like, oh, you know what? I have this body type that I'm working on now that kind of fits the same thing. Then I will definitely come back here and utilize it and grab it.
Body snatch.
Yes.
All right. So, okay, Sato, Wookie, Saito, Inkgirl, you're all here. I know we've been here for a minute, and I know I've been saying it, but I just want to say welcome to Archetype. Thank you all for participating and hanging out with us. Today has been an eventful day. Ashley so far has blocked out pretty much the entire Corgi and Dwarf. Now she's getting into some details on our Dwarf Paladin, which is kind of what we've been going for as far as the name is concerned, as what kind of class the dwarf is. But when it comes down to name of the dwarf, there's really nothing. So we're just kind of leaving that up in the air. There are a lot of name suggestions for the Corgi. So if you have any name suggestions that you want to punch in as we're going through, please put them in. We're trying to figure it all out. Maybe like for the last stream or something, we can make like a poll of like all the names that have been suggested, and then just have everyone like vote like crazy, and then that'll be it. And that'll be,
I think that'd be cool.
Capstone.
Remember, this character is, we're kind of basing off of like feudal Japan, so we should probably stick with names that or kind of play on that era. Obviously puns are welcome. So like because they're a Shiggy Palmy, right?
Yeah, Shini
And
Palmy.
a Paladin. So playing with those ideas is going to be super helpful.
Shini Palmy. I need to put all this in the list. Yeah, our Paladin. And then our Paladin is totally possum, right?
Oh yeah.
A totally possum Paladin. Oh man, this is great. Oh, Paladin? Paula. Oh, I see. L.A. All right. And then, yeah, it's interesting because, yeah, the feudal Japan aspect is curious, and then, I mean, the fact that he has an Inu, and then we talked about this last week that the name for a corgi in Japanese is Kolgi.
Mhm.
So
I think just playing on something where it sounds like phonetically, is that the correct word? It sounds like it's from feudal Japan. You know, it doesn't have to mean necessarily anything, but it could just have something that feels like it's from that era. It'd be kind of weird to name him like Bob. You know what I mean?
Well, now his name's got to be Bob.
Yeah.
Something that sounds like it's from feudal Japan, and then it also has a pun. Let's look up feudal Japan stuff. I mean, maybe, you know what? Let's look up feudal Japan livestock. So what was really important? Had horses, cattle, and chicken, but did not consume them. They were bred for transport, farming, or to obtain eggs. One livestock for 40 people a day. Oh, I did not realize that there was going to be so much information on such a unique thing. Do you ever do that? Do you ever like do some character like research and then really go into like rabbit holes?
Oh yeah, you can just go down a giant rabbit hole because of it all the time, which is good because like it's just part of the research that makes it fun. It's important to stay curious about everything. So the more you learn, whether it's relevant to, you know, the project that you're doing now, it almost always will be relevant later to some sort of other project, you know. The more you know, the more creative ideas you can come up with about, you know, what you're working on.
Now, here we go. There's literally an article that says shoguns and animals. Oh, Wookiee. Okay, here we go. Wookiee is summing up Ashley's process here, and I'm gonna read it. We're gonna verify as we go.
Okay.
To sum up your process, you shape the silhouettes and forms. You use the mask and extract to construct the armor. Then use ZBrush to give an even topology to work with. Is he right?
That's correct. That is
all right.
On the nose.
Wookiee, you did it. Now he's
watched enough times. He knows.
Wookiee's been here. He's retired from doing the Kessel Run, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How many parsecs? 12? No.
I think it's 12. 12 sounds right,
12.
but I'm not that nerdy about Star Wars, so I wouldn't.
Oh no.
Creating enemies here.
How many parsecs did it take Wookiee to make the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs? Yes.
See, this is where I'm telling you, got to believe in yourself.
Okay, so here's something interesting, and let's see if we can even go a little bit deeper in Japanese. What's it? Da-cho. Okay, so there's an interesting one. That looks like it's in Han. So interestingly enough, in the Edo period, various animals were brought into Japan via Nagasaki from abroad, such as ostriches, canaries, crocodile, orangutan, a white bear, and a lion. Many of these animals were imported by foreign monarchs to be presented to a shogun, right? So to somebody that is probably similar to our dude here, what would be funny is if when they were really young and going to become a shogun, somebody that was like in their, I don't know, village or something that gives gifts to the newborn brought this corgi, but there was no such thing in Japan, so then they called it an ostrich. so that his dog's name is Ostrich because that's what there was no reference, right?
Right. That'd be interesting. I mean, it's kind of like in Life of Pi when the tiger's name is like Richard, whatever, right? Because they read it wrong.
Yeah, just like that. How not? The process is well developed and it's so useful. Yeah, Ashley's really got it locked down, and it's cool to watch it in action because, again, at any step of the way, if you're new here, if you have any questions, you can just ask. You just throw it into the chat. I mean, as you can see, we have a pretty active chat anyways. So if you're nervous about your chat kind of getting ridiculed, first and foremost, it won't. Secondly, everybody's chilling here. You know, we got some regulars that come through, some new people. Thank you all for joining us on a Wednesday of all days. And yeah, we're here to hang out. Let's see. Ashley, did you see the new stuff in ZBrush 2023.2?
No. What is it? I don't know what's it. I don't know what it is.
I applied for Gnomon. I'm excited. I'm assuming that's Desiree. Desiree, we're excited as well. Really, really excited. Congratulations for applying. It takes a lot of guts and really happy for you. So now we're on this Max on Z 6 stream. It's new. It's that new.
Oh, it's brand new.
It's new.
Oh, okay. I do not know then. I know nothing.
Let's see. It looks so. Somebody's saying that it looks like you're sculpting in Maya because that matte cap looks like the Maya viewport. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean it does kind of look like that. I just like sculpting in something that's like kind of a base gray shader. But I was actually going to mention that at some point I like to, when I get to a certain level of fidelity or detail or enough stuff that's kind of different on my character, I do like to start coloring it.
Okay.
Because for me, it's just easier to see what I'm doing once you color it. So I can differentiate, you know, what's cloth, what's armor, what's skin, what's this, what's that. And that just makes it easier.
And for those that don't know, including this dude right here, matte cap? What is matte cap?
Matte cap just is a material.
Okay.
So in ZBrush, there's like all these different types of materials. So if I wanted to be sculpting him and looking at him in gold,
awesome.
I can, but it's a little distracting, you know? So
yeah, just a tad.
So I pick something that's just not very distracting.
Yeah.
And that helps me just kind of stay focused on what I'm working on.
I wonder if there's anybody that does sculpt in gold or has weird sculpting colors like that.
Man, if they do, they're crazy. But everyone has their own thing.
Okay. They're a new thing for character posing, which seems very useful. Oh, does it have like automated like poses? Like you can be like this, that, and then it'll just automatically do it, or what do you got for us?
Posing in ZBrush has always been kind of a pain, so I'm looking forward to hearing anything. Yes, when you join me for posing, you will see what I do for you guys.
What I do for you guys.
What I do for you guys on this stream. So I'm just blocking in his cool little armor set here. There.
Dang, there's some crazy from 1680. See, now I'm just in this Edo period stuff, right? It's pretty intense. But from 1687 to 1709, there was an order that was collectively called Orders on Compassion for Living Things. They're animal welfare laws, which are eccentric and unparalleled in world history. Even allowed capital punishment for those who abused animals. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
don't be a jerk. How about that? Huh?
There should be a lot of laws for don't be a jerk, you know?
Yeah, it's like real messed up. Heart of music, not just for dogs, but for all living things. Very interesting. A man who deserted a sick horse was exiled to a remote island. A public officer who threw a stone at a dove was exiled to a remote island. A villager who cut down a tree with a bird's nest was punished. Local residents were forcibly evicted to make space to build a large kennel facility. Oh man, this is really interesting.
That does sound super interesting. I'm gonna have to do more research on that as well.
Yeah, well, it's so unique too because there is. I mean, this is kind of in the vein of what you were talking about, right? Like it is. You know, we have this Edo period inspired character that has an animal that means, I mean, everything to them, right? Like we were kind of establishing he's not going anywhere without that food. Yeah, so dog statues were built to mark the area where kennels for stray dogs existed during the Edo period, which is crazy. So these statues still exist. Really interesting stuff.
Yes, I think that's the cool part about doing art like this is, you know, you're not just an artist, you also get to be, that's what I mean about being curious, you get to be like a researcher and you get to discover, which is just so cool. I mean, how often do you get to get paid for researching the Edo period and sculpting a corgi or something, you know? And so you get to learn kind of like on the job, which is super fun. It's never a dull moment, you know, when you're making this stuff.
And if you're ever curious about how to start your career, just like Ashley has hers, you know, check us out, Gnomon.edu. Yeah, it's a fun place to be. I mean, I'm here right now, and I'm here right now, and I have a tiger that's on a stack of pancakes at my desk.
That is adorable.
It's by an artist by the name of Yosuke Ueno.
There we go. So now we got its little side panels.
Yeah. Now, are you still looking at your reference while you're sculpting? The reference is just off screen?
Yes. I'm still looking at my reference.
I was about to be really amazed.
Oh, no. No, always have your reference up. So I have my reference up on my next screen. So I was just sculpting these cool little pads, which again, I have my reference of, I'm creating a little sash and I'll create another belt on top of that. I like this little scarf thing. So I think I'm going to add that as well. Even though, again, it's not my actual drawing, this is where the 3D part of it becomes really fun because I get to add stuff to the initial drawing and the initial sketch that maybe wasn't there in the first idea, but you can always, you know, iterate on top of what you have.
And so then that brings us again to the chat. If y'all have any ideas where you're like, man, it'd be really cool to do that or have that, as long as it's not, you know, making a whole nother character that's coming out of the stomach of this character.
Right. I'm already doing 2 characters. We can leave it to 1.
Yeah.
His corgi.
So apparently the new thing for character posing is like a brush, and you can put a couple of points in the mesh and then pose it.
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds like it kind of did a new revamped version of their rigging with sea spheres or something.
All interesting, very curious. It's gonna be fun to see you play with it and then come back and you're like, aha, here's all the new stuff that you can do.
I know. It would be nice, actually. I'm gonna go
Man.
ahead and make some gauntlets probably now.
That dude looks legit.
It's coming together.
It really is. And it's amazing every time I get to watch you do this, because it is like, it's one thing to see the 2D.
Yeah.
It's another thing to see the 3D. But it's just a crazy thing to conceptualize that when you're watching it or when you're seeing it in 2D, you can conceptualize in 3D and then make that transition and just translate it right away. Boom. Like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. I'm not calling you crazy. Desiree, I wish you guys would get more views. It's nice to have this on in the background while I edit. Well, you know what, Desiree? It doesn't matter how many views we get. We're still here for you.
We are here for
We
you
appreciate
guys.
you.
Yep.
Yeah. We appreciate you having this in background when you're editing, having this in background while you're playing games. Right now, I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. I'm building a lot of furniture. That's not a joke. That's for real. I got a furniture grind happening right now. I'm trying to make my money. So I watch streams when I'm doing stuff. So I like watching streams when I'm doing stuff. It really helps me out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's nice to see somebody else working while you're working. You know,
Mhm.
you're kind of motivated and inspired.
Yeah, and I like that. I think always finding different ways to be inspired and remain inspired is really important. It gets tough, you know? I mean, gosh, getting this furniture business off the ground in an MMO, sometimes I get burnt out, you know?
I feel it. And so you can see that the silhouette, once I kind of finalize that main silhouette of his body, you can see that it still holds pretty true. And he even becomes like almost more square now, which I like. Like the silhouette's really, if you turn around this character, I'm really liking the way the silhouette is kind of being achieved here. I think one thing maybe is that maybe this is a little too thin, so maybe we can make his neck thicker.
A little bit stockier, dude. Just in the neck compartment.
Just in the neck.
Oh, okay. So Okai Sato said, yeah, it is similar to what you said as far as what the brush mesh points are like opposing. You kind of nailed it. You could have done the ZBrush presentation today all by yourself.
I don't know. I wouldn't even know what they were doing. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's, you know, this thing probably. Oof, that is heavy. Do not subdivide. Whatever you're doing, I don't know what you're doing. Stop it. I'm gonna save because I'm scared. Whenever ZBrush starts doing something weird, I'm like, don't do that. I don't
Why are you like this?
Sometimes ZBrush, I do ask that. Why are you like this?
There was an old cartoon that came out a while ago called Invader Zim, and with Gur, exactly. And in the very first episode, they are giving all of the aliens their assignment, where they're going to go, what planet they're going to go to, what they're going to do when they get there, so on and so forth. And so like one alien, they went to a planet that was all couches. So they show a picture of him at the planet of couches, but it's like a reenactment. So somebody drew it to show what the planet's going to be like for him. And then at one point they get into an alien that is going to go to a planet, I think of like man-eating rats. And so they show a picture on a screen of him like getting cornered and mobbed by rats, and he cries and he goes, "Why would you draw that?" And so anytime we say, why are you doing this, ZBrush? I just think of that.
Why are you drawing that? Yeah, that's
why would you draw that?
I like that.
He's like terrified. But it is true. Why would they draw that? And once again, for those of you that are tuning in, I know I keep saying this. I know you're like, Chris, we get it. We've been here before. But some people haven't been here before. And if you haven't been here before, this is Archetype with Ashley Stegon. And Ashley Stegon is right over here. Oh, look at that. First time. Got it right.
Nice.
Right.
Nailed it.
Ashley Stegon tunes in pretty much every Tuesday. It's a Wednesday today, but every Tuesday between 4 and 6. And they generally are working on something throughout the month. This month, as you can see in the title, creating a D&D Paladin in ZBrush. We're in ZBrush right now. And fleshing out a fully fledged character from start to finish. So you can see the entire process all the way through. And as Ashley mentioned today, it's a 2-hour stream once a week, pretty much 4 weeks in a row, which basically means in 8 hours, you get to see something really amazing. And it's awesome. And the only way that we even get to do and design all of this stuff is with your help. So right now, she's working on the Warlord Dwarven Paladin. But this Paladin really came to be by everyone participating in chat and kind of interacting and putting in new and great ideas in here. And so this is really what the stream is about, is to hang out with y'all, talk about different things. I mean, we talked about anime and stuff like that today, and design cool stuff at the same time. I mean, I'm not designing. I'm the one that's talking about all the fun stuff. I just get to hang back and really
chill and make sure you guys are getting your questions answered while I'm busy sculpting. It is very nice not to have to go back and forth all the time to the chat while sculpting. That becomes the whole thing.
A whole thing, yeah, because you have to read it, right?
Yeah, I read it and stop what I'm doing, and then I feel like I don't get as much done. I want to be moving and grooving for everybody that's watching.
Moving and groove, and that's what we're here. Everyone's here for. We're watching move and groove in ZBrush and Photoshop and stuff when you're illustrating. Jesus says it's truly looking amazing. That sculpt came to life in just a few minutes. For real though, Jesus, it really did.
I'm trying for you. It's all for you guys.
It's all for y'all. Do you ever just sit back and be like, wow, I did that?
Not really.
Really?
No, I just feel like I mean, as an artist, I think you just kind of go, okay, cool, I did this thing, and now I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. Because I look at it and I always think of things that I can improve or get better at, or like what can I make better next time around. So it's very hard for me to stop and appreciate, which I should do more often. But when you do this for a living and you're surrounded by awesome people every day and stuff, you kind of just forget, and it becomes kind of second nature just to kind of zone in and work on a thing.
Very cool.
Man, this guy is very layered.
Yeah.
Making some work for myself,
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think you made enough work for yourself. I think we can probably shift our way through this for a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, we're almost on time, aren't we?
Yeah. So I guess, but you know what? You know what the great thing about almost being out of time is? You'll be back here next week.
I'm coming back next week, just not on a Wednesday. It's just going to be...
Just not on a Wednesday. Our normal time, which is Tuesdays. At 4 to 6, if I'm not mistaken.
He looks so different without the... Yes, from 4 to 6. He looks so different when he's not.
Oh yeah, super. In a way, he almost looks like happier, nicer.
He does. Yeah, he looks a little nicer.
Definitely less grody. Not grody, grungy.
Grungy. Yeah, what are you, a teenager? What's that?
What are you, a teenager? So, do you defining out cheekbones? Well, I know now you're working on the nostrils, but earlier there is that like your cheekbones, you're really just kind of getting them in that shape.
Yeah, I like to just carve them in, and then if I need to dial it back, I can always come in here and dial it back a little bit. But I like to define those planes first, and then you can kind of slowly, it gets less intense as you can see. You start moving onto certain things, and then you can kind of start blending. But I think carving in first is always a lot easier than trying to be subtle at first. You know, carve in and then you can kind of build out that subtlety later. But just really define those shapes first.
Oh yeah, man, it's like I understand, I get it. You do it professionally, I get it, but it is still very not only fun to watch, but very amazing to see kind of happen in real time every time.
I hope I know there's a lot of the chat. I always mean to try to be relevant to what you guys are learning, and maybe not everybody knows ZBrush, but I do hope that watching in real time kind of helps maybe put some of that at ease. It looks really complicated, but as you start, it's just another weird tool for you to utilize at the end of the day. So it is one of those things that I hope you guys watch and go, wow, that's cool. I want to jump into 3D and like try a new medium, and not be like, oh man, that looks really hard. That's never my intention. My intention is to be here to make it feel hopefully more accessible for all you guys that are watching.
Yeah, so rad.
It's super fun. It's super fun to be able to draw a concept and then take it and realize it in 3D. I'm not a big fan of like sitting and drawing a lot of details, but I love to sculpt a lot of details. So this is where I can kind of bring characters to life in a way that I just don't usually achieve in 2D. I love to draw, but I kind of approach drawing almost like 2D animation, so everything is very simplified. Whereas in 3D, I can be a little bit more free with details and stuff, because that's just kind of my style.
Yeah.
So I like being able to go back and forth. But that being said, we're 1 minute past, I guess, but I just want to kind of flesh out his face a little bit.
No, hey, I'm here for it. But I want to say thank you to everybody tuning in. Ashley, is there anything why don't you take it away?
No, thank you guys. I appreciate all the questions and stuff. Keep Chris busy, please, as I stay busy. It's really nice to be able to go back and forth and talk about these things. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Join us next Tuesday, not a Wednesday. We'll remind you on Instagram if you guys follow Gnomon or if you follow me at Stegon Eggs. And we will keep fleshing out this corgi, and we'll keep fleshing out this character. We'll start detailing some of his costumes and stuff, and we can sculpt on top of the corgi and get that fluffiness going. And maybe also that saddle. And with fluffy, we'll start incorporating the saddle. There's a lot to work on. There's a lot to build with this character, so we're going to try to get through it all through the stream. So that's all I got.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Follow Ashley on Instagram. Follow us at Gnomon_school on Instagram as well. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much, and so excited for the fluff. For the fluff.
Join in the fluff next week. Bye, you guys.
Bye.